here we
Hold tight, YouTube. I'm having some technical difficulties on the radio end. So hold tight. Let me work my magic here. Give you guys some listening music.
And until that moment comes, when we, the Americans, are able to accept the fact that on that continent we are trying to forge a new identity for which we need each other, that I am not a ward of America. I am one of the people who built the country. Until this moment.
That we are brothers. It's not a question of Jews or Christians or Muslims. We're all in the same boat.
We need each other.
Love is a condition so powerful. It may be that which holds the stars in the firmament.
Until this moment.
Love.
Until this moment.
Love.
Until this moment.
I come to you today to say that we can build a newer and better nation. I say we can do so, that we must do so, and that we will do so.
You've tuned in to The Benjamin Dixon Show. Visit us online at www.thebenjamindixonshow.com. Here we go. It's the Benjamin Dixon Show.
Your mission, should you choose to accept it, is
not merely peace in our time, but peace in all time.
I have no fear whatsoever of anybody or anything.
Did you think no one was watching?
Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere.
your mission.
To boldly go where no man has gone before.
To reclaim the American dream.
To be given the right of human beings to be afforded equal rights and equal opportunities.
It's the Benjamin Dixon Show. If you're hearing his voice, you're hearing the voice of reason.
You've certainly come to the right place.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Benjamin Dixon Show. I am, of course, your host, Benjamin Dixon. It is Friday, August 14th, 2015, and I want to thank you for joining us this morning. Had a bit of technical difficulties at the beginning. I run 4 different systems, 7 different screens, and one of them decided to fail on me this morning. My connectivity with my main radio broadcast channel failed, but thankfully, I'm a resourceful chap. I am streaming over the radio now via my cell phone. So when all else fails, I'll use up cellular data. Yeah, that bill is going to be high this month. But anyway, welcome to the Benjamin Dixon Show. It's Friday. Got a lot going on for you. Those of you who are watching or even listening, I'm going to give you the breakdown in case you don't have time to watch and listen to the entire show. The first segment I'm going to deal with, the overarching theme of today's show is how progressives can be better allies. Because we've had a week that really has been a tough week for progressives in general. And I know a lot of people try not to use the term progressive or liberal when they describe their policies. But if you have left-leaning social and economic beliefs and ideologies, then you're a progressive, you're a liberal, whether or not you want to label yourself that. I'm personally proud to be a progressive, proud to be a liberal, and because our ideas are just better, period. But it's been a tough week for progressives across the board. And I have been working on something for, I actually not working on it consistently, but I wrote something after I would say a few months ago, I wrote basic rules for progressives, and someone tweeted, they found the article on my personal website, my show website, and they tweeted the article to me, and I had completely forgotten about it, but it was so apropos for this week. So I kind of revamped the article, and it will be published later on today on If You Only News, but I want to give you the high level of it today. But before I go into those 6 rules for allies, and it's not comprehensive, clearly, it's simply a starting point. But before I go into that, I need to show you why it's important that we become better allies, and why it's important that that we don't expend all of our energy on our internal fighting. We absolutely, listen, I'm not one who says that we shouldn't fight internally. I think the fact that we do fight is indicative of our individuality, our uniqueness, and our agency, and the fact that we actually have a voice. We have a competition of ideas going on. And anytime you have people with free will and autonomy competing in the marketplace of ideas, you are going to get fierce confrontations, debates, and downright fights. Sometimes it gets ugly. And so I'm not one who thinks that we should not ever fight. Fights are necessary, but I do want us to realize that we have a common opponent. I would call an enemy, if you would, an ideology that has been so perverted over the last 30 years that it is not even the same ideology that it was in the 60s. I mean, just 50 years ago, this ideology was completely different. So the first segment, first 15, 20 minutes, I'm going to deal with some clips to show you just how hypocritical and dangerous conservatism and Republican ideology is. And for everyone who says, Ben, you subscribe too much to left and right, I want you to understand, I never jump into anything without thoroughly thinking it through and flushing it out. I cannot say that I have been as strong of a progressive as I am now. That's because at younger years, your ideals are not fully fleshed out. I have taken the necessary time to actually weigh everything in the balance, every policy, every issue, major issue. And I find conservatism not only wanting, I find them dangerous. And I find them leaning towards totalitarianism and in its own, and it's not as though we on the left are completely innocent and always right, but we're dealing with a political ideology that has been so propagandized over the last 30 years that it is, I fully believe that it is dangerous to the American experiment, if you would, to hundreds of years of experimentation. But still, I believe in conservatism. So that's what I'm going to do the first few minutes. The second half, the second 15 minutes rather, I'm going to give you these 6 rules, and I want you to join in the conversation. 857-600-0518. I want you to join in the conversation and give me your feedback, and you tell me, what do you think would be something that would help us out as progressives and help us to fight conservatism more. And I want to hear your voice. 857-600-0518. And then the last segment, I've got to do Freedom Friday, because there just been too many crazy videos that have come out that I just want to discuss, like a round robin, like a quick 3-minute discussion on these videos, because it is insane, including the mass explosion over in China, the Stump for Trump girls. And I found, actually, I didn't find it. A friend sent me a video of this insane patriot. So anyway, we'll do all that. So first up, I absolutely want to tell you and show you, and it's not as though you don't already know, but I have to remind you. Here is Jeb Bush, and here's Jeb Bush discussing blaming ISIS on President Obama. The irony of it is, of course, that his brother is absolutely intricate. He was integral. That's the word I'm looking for, in the creation of ISIS. So listen to him, and then we'll discuss.
We pulled out of Iraq, and when we did, we had the ability to have a 10,000 force presence that would have allowed for a fragile but stable Iraq to continue to gain traction. When we pulled back, Maliki went back to his sectarian tendencies. He destroyed the army, in effect, by not having us there to be vigilant. The Sunnis were isolated. Iran gained an influence, and the net result was that ISIS filled the void. And it is directly related to that. There will be people after this interview, Hillary Clinton's campaign will tweet out that it was George W. Bush that made this happen. The president himself acknowledges, President Obama, that we were successful in destroying al-Qaeda in Iraq. And this void is his doing. This threat is his doing. ISIS was created after President Obama got elected, and when we pulled back, he fulfilled a campaign promise rather than fulfill his duties of being commander-in-chief.
All right, let me stop it there. That's the end of the clip. On the Republic, where do I even begin with this? We are dealing with a group of people, and not just the leaders, not just the people running for office, but the rank and file conservative, the average conservative that you run into every day. We're dealing with a group of people with the mindset that the problems in the Middle East are actually, let me start that sentence here. They want to divorce the problems that we are seeing in the Middle East right now with ISIS from the fact that we engaged in a war that we should never have engaged in the first place. And they want to lay the blame at President Obama. Now, I can care less personally about protecting President Obama on everything. I'm not going to cape for him and block for him. But the fact of the matter is that you cannot divorce the reality that we should never have been in Iraq in the first place. And we were there for almost an entire decade. At what point do we stop and cut our losses and do exactly what President Obama did, which was bring back our troops? Or do we have a perpetual commitment in that region? I think they are okay with having a perpetual presence in that region, not only in that region, but in Iraq specifically, because they have buddies who make money off of war. They have no qualm with expending, with using and sacrificing the lives of soldiers for missions and campaigns that we should never have been on in the first place. So here, Jeb Bush trying to get the nomination for the Republican candidate for president of the United States. Here he is trying to justify or trying to absolve his brother of responsibility of what's happening in Iraq right now. What were our options? Do we stay there indefinitely, or do we let the region begin to fix itself after 10 years of our interference? Neither option is a good solution. But if we are going to absolutely do what's in the best interest of the United States, President Obama at the time did what was best for the United States because we were there too long. We should not have been there. Yes, we got rid of al-Qaeda in Iraq. However, we left an unstable government. We left a government that could not protect itself. We broke it. And we could not fix it. We tried for 10 years to fix it. And because we could not fix it, that left a void. The fact that al-Qaeda was gone did not leave a void which let ISIS in. The fact that the government was so fragile and they were incapable of controlling their internal factions, there was an enormous power void in the absence of Saddam Hussein, the guy we put in power many moons ago. You can see the photos and the videos of Donald Rumsfeld shaking hands with Saddam Hussein, the guy we're responsible for in the first place. He was what's the saying? He was a son of a bitch, but at least he was our son of a bitch. And he held and maintained power in Iraq to keep the craziest of the crazies. Yes, he was insane, but there were people crazier than Saddam Hussein. And so we went into the region and we broke the region, and we could not fix it after 10 years. And eventually you have to say, okay, we screwed that up. But instead of saying we screwed that up, Jeb Bush, who wants to be the nominee, decides to say that this is all President Obama's fault. Keep in mind now, it wouldn't be such a big deal if Jeb Bush did not hire, I believe, 21 advisors that formerly worked for his brother. And when you look at this in context of what's going on in Iran and the fact that they're running headlong into a war with Iran over their nuclear deal, they want to sabotage the nuclear deal. it should set off the alarm of every reasonable American. Every person with a modicum of common sense should realize that there is something dangerously wrong with allowing people who got us into a war in the first place that we should never have been in the first place to get the reins of power and allow them to go back and do part two all over again. So this is who we're dealing with. And this is why it's so important. This is just one of the reasons why it's so important that after we get done with all of our internal fighting over in the progressive caucus and all of the things that are necessary, that we turn our eyes to the real problems that we're facing and the problems that are being created by conservatism, by a radicalized conservatism. And that's not only hell bent on war, but it's downright hypocritical and increasingly brain dead. That's the other thing about it. They are not just increasingly hypocritical, they are increasingly brain dead. And it's amazing to me that what is absolutely fatuousness and ridiculousness to us makes sense to them and is practical in their eyes. It's the world is so twisted that half of the world generally, or half of America rather, genuinely believes the lies that they are being fed by conservative propaganda machines. All right, so I want to skip. That's just one. I want to play another clip here, and the second clip that I'm going to play, I have quite a few, but the second clip, I want to shift gears because there's another dangerous element of conservatism that we must stand against and fight against, and we need to be unified to fight against, and that is the religious fervor. And anyone who, you know me, so I don't even have to go into, you know, my background. If you don't, go Google my background, go to Pathos, and you know exactly who I am. So when I criticize the religious fervor of conservatism, you have to understand that I'm coming from a perspective that gives me more than enough legitimacy to give them criticism on their perspective. But this isn't even a what I'm about to play does not even require a philosophical analysis. This is Donald Trump. And if anybody knows Donald Trump and has tracked him over the last few years, you know one thing about Donald Trump. Donald Trump doesn't believe in anything or anybody else but Donald Trump. But he has realized that the key way to get the support of Republicans is to begin to pander to the religious base. So I want to play this quick clip from All In with Chris Hayes. It's only about 30 seconds long, so hopefully you guys won't block my video again this time. But I want to play this clip, and I want you to see Donald Trump make this ridiculous shift. And what's amazing is that people are actually going to believe him. So this is Donald Trump at a recent campaign rally.
Hold that book up, please. Okay. One of the great books. That's my second favorite book of all time. Do you know what my first is? The Bible. Nothing beats the Bible. Nothing beats the Bible. Not even The Art of the Deal. Not even.
The Art of the Deal.
Up, please.
All right,
okay.
Enough. Shut up, Trump.
One of the great books.
Hush, Trump. Not even The Art of the Deal. I'm telling you, Donald Trump is only interested and amazed and respects and worships Donald Trump. But because of the nature of conservatism and the Republican ideology, all he has to do is say, the Bible, that's the greatest book in the world. That's all he has to do. And he's going to get the support of legions of Christian evangelicals who live in this fantasy land. I have so many more clips and so many examples of why it's so necessary. The hypocrisy. Ben Carson just did an interview talking about lambasting Planned Parenthood, saying that he wants to cut federal funding from Planned Parenthood because no tax dollars should be used for abortions, when in actuality, no tax dollars are being used for abortions. But he's not going to give you that. But even worse than that, Ben Carson has done research on fetal tissue. Yet and still, he's coming out against Planned Parenthood's utilization, and providing that same fetal tissue that he used years ago. So what's good for it's okay when they use it, when it's in their best interest, but for any other purposes, or really just for their political purposes, they're willing to go against their own beliefs. You have to watch the interview on Neil Cavuto. I couldn't find the clip this morning, but on Neil Cavuto on Fox News, here he is using some ridiculously circular logic to explain why it was okay for him to use fetal tissue in research, but it's not okay for Planned Parenthood to get the consent of the mother who is aborting the child to use the aborted fetal tissue in research. It's research that has saved thousands and thousands and countless lives. This is the paradigm that they live under. They are willing to sacrifice their own personal beliefs. They're willing to sacrifice their own ideologies for the sake of, I don't even know what's the end goal. What do you think? What do you think is the end goal, that they are willing to sacrifice who they really are just to play to the base, to get power, for what, corporations to continue to pump money into corporations, I don't believe for 1 second that those in power in the Republican machine are remotely interested in forwarding social values, or what they call social values. I don't. Not for 1 second. Not when 65% of all abortions are performed on Christian patients. They have no interest in fixing that. None whatsoever. So for people who vote for the Republican Party for religious reasons, you have absolutely no reason to vote for them, because they are not the least bit interested in forwarding your cause. They're interested in just maintaining power. And they're interested in maintaining that power, even at the risk, even at the price of their own genuine beliefs. Ben Carson and Donald Trump were both Democrats who believed and supported in Planned Parenthood, who believed and supported single-payer healthcare systems, but for whatever reason, they're willing to sacrifice it to become Republican candidates. Power corrupts. Absolute power corrupts absolutely. All right. How much time have I got? And I'm missing my clock up here. All right. That's the first 20 minutes. I'm going to take a quick break. When I come back, you see why. This is just a quick sampling of why we absolutely must be unified when the time comes for us to be unified. This is just what happened yesterday. Right. Not to mention all of the economic policies that are bastardizing our economy, all the foreign policies that are destroying not only our moral values, our moral center, that's taking the lives of our troops, but also ravaging the Middle East. There are years and decades of reasons why we have to be a solidified force fighting against conservatism. And what I showed you this morning is really just like what happened overnight. But when we come back, I'm going to go over some rules for progressives, because I think it's important that we are able to work together. That's it. Join the conversation. 857-600-0518. This is the Benjamin Dixon Show. We'll be back right after this.
When you're ready to lose weight, why count, track, and worry over every meal? Jenny Craig makes it simple. Just walk into a neighborhood Jenny Craig Center or give us a call. You'll meet your dedicated personal consultant who helps you reach your goals. Together, you'll pick out delicious Jenny Craig foods that you'll love and design a menu that fits your life. And the best part is that you can get started losing weight right away. Don't wait any longer to take advantage of our best offer ever. Call 1-800-JENNY20 or visit jennycraig.com.
This is the sound of salmonella gyrating on your undercooked chicken. And it looks like Mom might be taking it out a little early. Don't let salmonella get funky with your chicken. On average, 1 in 6 Americans will get a foodborne illness this year. So use a thermometer to cook each type of meat to the right temperature. Keep your family safe at foodsafety.gov. Brought to you by the USDA, HHS, and the Ad Council.
On the next episode of Recipes for Disaster.
I'm making beef sliders for my friend Sandy. Nana taught me to always pull meat off the grill early so it's extra juicy.
Use a food thermometer to ensure ground beef is 160 degrees, or you could make people really sick. Sandy didn't think twice about the slider she ate until yoga class, when a nasty case of food poisoning turned her downward-facing dog into upward-moving lunch. Watch Recipes for Disaster at foodsafety.gov and learn the steps Maria unwittingly leaves out. Brought to you by the USDA, HHS, and the Ad Council.
When I grow up, I want to be a new pair of blue jeans. When I grow up, I want to be a kid's first computer. I want to play on a cool day. I want to be a bike that races around the country. I want to be a bench on a forest trail.
When I grow up, I don't want to be a piece of garbage. And if you recycle me, I won't be.
Give your garbage another life. Recycle. Learn how at iwanttoberecycled.org. Brought to you by Keep America Beautiful and the Ad Council.
Welcome back to the Benjamin Dixon Show. If you're hearing his voice, you're hearing the voice of reason.
Welcome back. I realized in all of my preparation that I didn't actually pull up my list of rules. I do know them by memory, right? But I actually wanted to pull up the rules themselves. So, like I said at the top of the show, we have had a hell of a week. It's been a tough week, and it's very difficult to. It's the big tent philosophy that progressives go under is difficult, and nobody has ever told us or given us any type of way of understanding how allies can work together. And because of that, we have had constant infighting, and that infighting has been necessary. I'm not lamenting the infighting. The infighting is necessary because that's what happens when you have individuals who have unique experiences and unique priorities. Everyone is competing, and rightfully so. And so I'm not saying that we should never argue, that we should never. No, it's necessary. It's necessary. And matter of fact, it's because of observations of these fights over the years that I'm started even thinking about this. And I don't have all the solutions. I think this is a very 6 is not enough, and there might need to be 600, right? But I just want to start the conversation, because if you combine the energy and the potency and the social justice focus of Black Lives Matter with the energy and the potency and the economic focus of Feel the Burn, then you have a force that can destroy every vestige of this propagandized Republican ideology. It's really two of the most powerful forces in politics right now is Feel the Burn and Black Lives Matter, hands down, without a question, which is why I think it's beneficial to see the confrontations happen now. Hillary Clinton met with Black Lives Matter. I believe it was Wednesday night or Thursday. No, it was Wednesday night. And in that meeting, it became evident to the organizers that Hillary Clinton was not interested in listening. She was more interested in lecturing. And that should be a signal to everyone that Hillary Clinton really represents the status quo. Now, I'll say this at the top, because for me, the bottom line is undoing the last 30 years of trickle-down economics and republicanism. If we're stuck with Hillary, I will support Hillary. However, there is no reason we have to be stuck with Hillary, period. None whatsoever. Black Lives Matter is too organized. Feel the Burn is they have too much momentum. And so there's absolutely no reason why anyone should feel helpless in this primary. We do not have to be stuck with Hillary. I don't think she's the worst person in the world, but I don't think that she's going to change the fundamental structure of our economic system, which was changed in 1981. Which was turned hard right in 1981 with the Ross-Kemp tax cuts. The entire structure of our economic system was changed. And as a result, we have not seen significant growth in wages for middle-class earners in 30 years. So I don't think she's going to do that because she is too in bed with that system. I don't think she's going to bring significant change in social justice reform, criminal justice reform, because it's really an afterthought to her. So I don't believe that she's the person who's going to do that. And that's why I think it's important for everyone who has a legitimate qualm with the current system, of which President Obama is the current president, right? He's not innocent in this. Of course, he may have done the best he can do with the conditions that he had. And I also think, and I'm going to get to these rules, but I have to pontificate for a minute. I also believe that President Obama is a reflection of where liberals and progressives were in 2008. 2008, progressives were not as fierce as we are now. We were a little more soft-spoken. We were absolutely afraid of being called socialist. We did not know how to fight back against that propaganda and that rhetoric and those talking points. And so we bit our tongues, and tried to weasel our way in and let everybody know, no, we're not really about equality, social, economic equality. We're not really about that. We're really, we're moderates. So we got a moderate president. So it's not all his fault. I believe President Obama would have been whatever the body politic told him to be, right? But 2016, 2015 right now is something entirely different. We have grown and we have shaken off the fear of being called liberal. We have shaken off the fear of being called progressive, and we have shaken off the red herring of being called socialist, because if they ever call you a socialist, ask them to define it. Ask them, how is it uniquely different than communism? And then ask them, what about all of the socialism that occurs in the United States right now? The socialism that goes to the top instead of the bottom, right? So we had to get a little more educated on our positions, and we had to get a little more, be less intimidated by their talking points. So I'm not laying that all at President Obama's feet, but what I'm saying, coming full circle, is that we absolutely must figure out how to work together better, because we have some fights on our hands. I believe 2016, without a doubt, is going to determine the true and almost the final trajectory of the United States of America. If we stay with the status quo, America will be a status quo nation. It will be a nation of trickle-down economics, neoliberalism, neoliberal economic policies, of complete globalization at the expense of our local workers. It will be exactly what we've seen, where the top gets wealthier, where back in the 50s, I believe the average CEO wage was 20 times of the average worker, and now it's 300 times of an average worker. That's the type of America we will be if we stay on the status quo. Hillary Clinton represents the status quo, ladies and gentlemen. And if anybody can come and tell me otherwise, and you want to defend Hillary Clinton and convince us that she's not status quo, then holler at me. Let me know, and I will be glad to debate you. Hillary Clinton represents the status quo. I'd rather stay with the devil I know than to go with a new devil that's going to take us even further to the right, right? So if Hillary Clinton represents the status quo, every Republican nominee represents another shift to the hard right that we cannot afford. We cannot go any further to the right on economic policy. We cannot go any further to the right on social policies. We definitely cannot go further to the right on foreign policy. It is absolutely not acceptable. So 2016 is a pivotal election that will determine which way we are going to go. And you know who can decide it? Without a shadow of a doubt, Black Lives Matter and the Feel the Burn contingency. Those are the only two forces that are organized and mobilized sufficiently to push back against the status quo and to push back against any more progress to the right. And I would say not even progress. Let me take that word out of the sentence. Devolving to the right. All right. So 6 rules. And this is something that I think is that you give me your feedback on it. Number 1, never dismiss. This is important. Never dismiss the experiences of your allies. Now I'm talking internally. Conservatives, you can cut off, or you could listen and try to take this over to your camp, but it won't work in your camp because your camp is totalitarian. You cannot be, you have to believe in the Republican religion. All right. So you can listen, but it's not going to help you guys. But progressives, number 1, we have to stop dismissing each other's experiences. This is something that I learned the hard way. I personally never believed that women, that catcalling was a real problem for women. And I'll just be honest with you. I didn't. I even asked my wife about it. I asked my wife about it. I'm like, babe, have you experienced catcalling? She said that she never experienced it herself, but she has seen it herself. You know, she's seen people get catcalled. And still that wasn't enough, right? I wasn't listening. I just kept dismissing it until one day I got on a train in downtown Boston and a guy asked me for a pen. And when a girl got on the train, a woman got on the train, he went from, I promise you, he went from 0 to 100, from a gentleman to a complete barbarian, harassing this woman. And I had never seen anything like that in my life. I had never been guilty of it, nor did I ever witness it. And I was so taken aback, because earlier that morning, I had another progressive tell me that I was being melodramatic with regard to racism. At that moment, my mouth dropped, because I realized I had been doing to women the same exact thing that I got frustrated about white progressives doing to me, trying to dictate to me what my experiences were and were not, and dismissing everything that I told them. I had been guilty of it myself, guilty as charged. The first thing that we need to do for us to work together better is to absolutely stop dismissing. You may not want to hear it. You may not be guilty of it. You may have never witnessed it, but your experiences, my experiences, do not represent the totality of what happens in the world. There's a lot that happens that we don't even know is happening. And so if people are telling you that something is happening, listen to them. I cannot tell you how many times I've been racially profiled in stores, pulled over by the cops, never getting a ticket. I can't tell you how many times I've been called a nigger. I can't tell you how many times I've been on a job in a store being called colored. You know what I mean? But if you can't hear me and you constantly dismiss me because you've never experienced it and you're not guilty of it, then it's impossible for us to consider ourselves allies. Completely impossible. Because you don't understand my fight and my plight. So the best thing that we can do before I get all dramatic about it is just, we have to listen to each other. Don't dismiss what they're saying. You are not guilty of it. Fine, I get it. But somebody is, or else they wouldn't be saying it to you. And don't just think everybody is lying. You know what I mean? People have experiences that you're not aware of, and we have to listen. So that's number one. Number two, we have to acknowledge the agency and the free will of every ally. It sounds a little esoteric, but it really means something. Every ally is able to fight their particular battle. Every ally has their own story. Every ally has their own nemesis. I mean, everyone has a narrative that they are the center of attention in, right? We need to recognize that and realize that if we are fighting alongside our allies on their issue, then we're not the hero of that story, right? We're the sidekick. Like if I'm fighting for women's rights, I don't have to fly in like a bat out of hell and try to be the hero for women's rights. I'm just the sidekick for women's rights. And likewise, if you want to join up with us and fight against systemic racism in the United States of America, come on, we need all the help we can get. But realize that this is our narrative, this is our story, and that we are the hero of that narrative, if I can use a superhero framework, and that we need you to not try to be the center of attention and not make it about you. Likewise, I can't make your fight about me, right? When you need me to fight for you, then I need to come and stand beside you and not try to stand in front of you. Simple, right? I think that would help a lot of confusion, end a lot of confusion. Number three, this is the tough one, guys and gals, ladies and gentlemen. We have to recognize and acknowledge our own privilege. We have to. Every single person in the United States of America has some type of privilege. Even if you are at the bottom of the social strata, you still have some type of privilege. I am Black, I am Christian, I'm cisgendered, and I'm heterosexual, right? So the fact that I'm Black, I do have a lot of challenges that I experience realistically, not just figuratively speaking, not hyperbolically speaking. It is a real thing, right? But I also experience privilege in the fact that I never have to worry about what it is to be gay in America or not to be able to get married. Well, that's fixed now. That's fixed now. We don't have to worry about that now, except for those counties who are just being intransigent, but we'll get to them. I never have to worry about what it is to be gay. I never have to worry about what it is to be a woman. I just don't even have to consider it, right? Likewise, there are some things that you don't have to consider. Some of you never have to consider what it is to be Black. So it's not that privilege doesn't mean that you have it made in America. That's what I think people get mistaken. You don't have it made in America. It's just simply that you have a certain set of issues that you never have to even consider. I never have to consider what it's like to be a woman in America, with one caveat that I have to consider. I have to try to learn about it for the sake of my wife and my daughter. But outside of learning about it and trying to be there for them, it's not a personal problem. And so it is therefore a point of privilege that I exist in. It's hard to recognize our own privilege. I understand it's tough. It's difficult because it's almost like someone accusing you of something that you didn't even do. The reason I always pushed back and rejected the catcalling paradigm was because I always felt like someone was trying to say that I was guilty of it when I was never guilty of it. But just because I'm not guilty of it doesn't mean it doesn't exist, and it doesn't mean that I don't have privilege in that area. I think number 3 is the most important. Recognize your own privilege and don't take it as an attack on you. Just recognize it. It's something that you never have to be concerned about. If you're white in America, you never have to worry about what it is to be black. If you're straight, you never have to worry about what it is to be gay. I'm Christian. I never have to worry about what it is to be an atheist in America, or what it is to be a Muslim in America, or what it is to be whatever other faith, or even hell. You get the point. Moving on. Number 4, fight for your allies, even when it's not your personal fight. We have to show up for each other. Who needs an ally that's not going to be there to fight for them on their cause? A lot of times I see in the social media world, whenever the national conversation becomes about something other than your personal issue, I hear people saying things like, "Don't get distracted. Don't lose focus." I don't need an ally that can't multitask. You know what I mean? I don't need an ally who can only take on one thing at a time. We have a myriad of problems that requires us fighting on every front. And think of it this way. It's not a distraction, because once you realize that the core root of sexism is the same core root of racism, is the same core root of homophobia, it's the same core root of xenophobia and Islamophobia, and that is hatred. We all experience it differently, yes. It is expressed differently, yes, but the core of it is the same. Sexism is racism, is Islamophobia, is homophobia. It is all coming from the same hatred and bigotry that is latent in so many Americans. So once you realize that, my issue isn't taking the back seat when I have to fight for somebody else. It's just that I have an opportunity to fight the bigger problem from a different perspective. So show up for the fight. Don't let it be said that you only showed up for your issues. You know what I mean? If there's a protest against for Black lives, then whites, gays, gay whites, every combination, every intersection, women, of course, they're Black women, and then just every intersection, let's show up. And likewise, when it's a fight for somebody else, when it's a fight for to shut down these intransigent counties and clerks that don't want to perform the weddings, then we need to show up and we need to speak out and realize that we're not the hero of the story, but we're the sidekick, and know our place, but help out. All right. And then we're going to go to break number 5. This, my friends, is the most important. Of course, all of them are important. And then the ones you're going to suggest are important too. We cannot never be guilty. Please, let me start the sentence again. Never be guilty of using the same tactics against, oh my, hang on a second. Did this guy break my podcast? Okay, no, I'm live still. Never be guilty of using the same tactics against an ally that our enemies use. Plain and simple. How can we call ourselves friends when we do to each other the same thing that our enemies do? If I would keep using myself as an example, but enough. You already know I've been guilty of it myself. So let's use some specific examples. When we talk about police violence against Black people, I repeat, do not bring up Black on Black crime, because it is a straw man and it is a red herring, right? White on white crime is an epidemic, but still, I'm not going to go down that argument because it's a huge red herring. But if you call yourself an ally, you should be educated enough about the issues to know the information, one, but then you should realize, don't use the same tactics. What good are you to us if you're doing to us what conservatives are doing to us? And what makes it worse is that we consider ourselves friends. And so we have inoculated ourselves against conservative attacks. But when it comes from someone who's ostensibly a friend, that hurts, and that hurts that much more. And so that's where you see battle lines drawn. That's where you see people going into their corners, and that's where you see the most disgusting fights in public and displays of disdain in public. And we just can't keep doing that to each other. Don't be guilty of doing the same thing. Fellas, men, and I'll use myself, we can't do to women the same thing that conservatives do to women just because we're afraid of confronting our own privilege. All right. Last but not least, and then I'm going to a break so I can end this session because it's a little kind of, it feels a little weird. It's Friday. I want to be a little light today. But number 6, when an ally makes a mistake, correct them, but don't destroy them. We on the progressive end have the ability to destroy each other, man. When somebody makes a mistake, when one of our friends makes a mistake, our so-called friends makes a mistake, man, we not only take them to task, we not only correct them, but we stomp the hell out of them. I mean, we are good for that. We will kick them while they're down. Oh, you messed up and you said something to me that a conservative said. I will. Oh, let's unleash the Kraken. Let's all of our Twitter legion. Let's sick them. You know what I mean? We are good at that. And I'm not saying that we don't bring correction, because it's absolutely necessary that we let our allies know when they have done us wrong. Bring correction. But when a person is down, they can't hear you if they have to cover their head because you're kicking them while they're down. So that's it. That's my 6 points. I think if we can observe, I'll have it posted on If You Only News. If we can observe those, then I think we can work together without the need for so many constant confrontations. And I think that if we build on that, then we can be a stronger unit to fight against conservatism, because conservatism has lost its mind. That's my focus. Your focus can be on your individual issue. Your focus can and should be on whatever is most important to you. If your issue primarily is racial injustice, then I'm not asking you to fight conservatism like I am. That's my job. If your issue is women's rights, I'm not asking you to fight my fight. That's my job. If your issue is LGBTQ rights, I'm not asking you to put that to the back and fight my fight. That's my job. But likewise, don't come at me and say, Dixon, you're distracted. No, I see the bigger picture. I'm not distracted. I know that there's one common thread to all of the goals that we have, and that's conservatism, because conservatism feeds the bigotry and the hatred that is at the core of sexism, racism, misogyny, Islamophobia, xenophobia, and every other phobia. Folks, I'm going to take a quick break, and when we come back, it's Freedom Friday. We're going to have a little fun. Sorry about that sermon, I guess. We'll be back.
You're tuned in to the Benjamin Dixon Show. Join the conversation, 857-600-0518.
Looking for the right business opportunity? Need the right product, the right marketing plan, and the absolute best training in the world? Well, look no further. The Elite Team. Every leader in time excels. They believe the key ingredients in becoming successful in life and in business are just a keystroke away. Go to www.eliteteamsite.com. That's www.eliteteamsite.com. The Elite Team has a system in place that will move you closer to achieving your goals and dreams. Visit www.eliteteamsite.com or TonyFlemingEnterprises.com today.
College is important, but it can also be expensive. College Planning Services is a group of educators, administrators, counselors, and other licensed professionals that work together to provide the necessary services, networks, and information to reach students that are serious about getting a college education. College Planning Services partners with financial institutions, corporate sponsors, and other major players in the global market to strategize in building a pool of information regarding financial aid, scholarships, and funding information to assist students in preparing to access the essential resources to build upon their path to an educational future. Learn more at collegeplanningtoday.com and let us help you start your college career.
Do you want to take your business to the next level? Ultimate Business Solutions provides the support you need to increase your customer base and sell more products and services online. Specializing in graphic arts, web development, and internet marketing, Ultimate Business Solutions creates the face of your business. If you're looking for a custom logo, dynamic website, or popping marketing material, call Ultimate Business Solutions today at 404-704-2197 or visit www.ultimatebizsolutions.com. Ultimate Business Solutions. Let us create your future.
Do you have tax issues, owe back taxes, or need tax relief? Contact L&B Tax Service today. L&B offers you over 15 years of expertise and first-class tax service for individuals, professionals, and business owners. With nationwide service, you can easily find a location near you. Contact one of our tax professionals through our website, lbtaxservice.com. That's www.lbtaxservice.com. L&B Tax Service Incorporated. Tax professionals that you can trust.
You've tuned in to the Benjamin Dixon Show.
All right. That's right. I love that track. You guys go check out Otis McDonald at Otis McDonald on Twitter. He is responsible for so many of the tracks that I use here. They are super dope. I want to announce the winner this week. Actually, let me start with this. It's Friday, folks. Let's let our hair down. It's Freedom Friday.
Just got paid. It's Friday night. It's Friday. You ain't got no job. And you ain't got shit to do.
All right. It's that kind of Friday. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to announce the winner of this week's copy of God is Not a Republican. I'm taking it to task to all the Republican evangelical Christians, showing them their hypocrisy. And I have quite a few books that I just want to get rid of. This week's winner, all I have is their handle. Their Twitter handle is Blessing. So Blessing, I want you to hit me on facebook.com/The Benjamin Dixon Show. Send me a message with your address so I can send you a copy of my book. You can register for a chance to win at the same space, facebook.com/The Benjamin Dixon Show. Click the Contact Us tab and give us your information. And while you're there, click the like button and also come to YouTube and subscribe. Go to Spreaker and subscribe. Go to Twitter at the BPD Show and follow. All right. There's some crazy stuff going on this week, and I don't know where to start. But let me start with something that's not necessarily fun or funny, but is simply amazing. I want you to see this video.
Whoa! Holy shit! Fuck yeah, I'm videoing it. What the fuck?
Not safe for work, by the way.
I think that might be a gas station or something.
Fuck yeah, it's a gas. Whoa! Oh! What the? Holy shit! No fucking way!
Wow.
No, baby! Oh no!
Are we dangerous here?
Yeah, we're dangerous. Oh my God!
Oh dear! Are you filming?
Yes, I'm filming!
Wow! Wow! I think we are dead.
All right, what you just got through watching and listening to was an explosion in what's the name of the city? The city is Tianjin, China. And it was an explosion at a chemical factory with dangerous chemicals and other materials, with strong chemicals and other materials. The first explosion that you saw was about 3 tons worth of equivalent to 3 tons worth of TNT. The second explosion was 21 tons. The equivalent of 21 tons of TNT. They didn't even give us the amount of the third explosion. There were 3 unique explosions. That is the craziest thing that I've ever seen. And if you see the footage, you should go look at the different images. The radius of the damage and the carnage is ridiculous. Hundreds of cars that at the port were just wiped out. Buildings wiped out. About 17 people were killed. And I mean, it's just an amazing video that you don't get to see something that happen on a regular basis. Now, on the lighter side, here is the video of, this is just, I don't know, This is from AJ Plus. They did the work for me. So I want you to go to facebook.com and look up AJ Plus. Great site. You're probably already there, and subscribe to their channel. And I want you to just see.
Hey, y'all. Hey. Perhaps you need to shut the hell up, Lindsay. We have a border that needs to be secure.
Yes.
We have ISIS trying to cut off heads.
Yes.
We have people going into movie theaters shooting it up, Don.
Yes, we do,
got
Don.
to secure this border. We got to make America great again.
Oh, yes, we do.
have to make America great again. And the
Yes.
only way we can do that, baby,
Yes.
is with Donald Trump.
They're serious, ladies and gentlemen.
Lindsey Graham, he had the nerves to call Donald Trump a jack the other day. You didn't think his was a jack when you was trying to get his money? Montel Williams. Okay. Check your own okay? Check your own status before you start calling Donald Trump a punk, okay?
All right, that's all I could take of that. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. You can go watch the full video over at AJ Plus Facebook page. When I watched this video, I lost so many brain cells, and there are just so many more enjoyable ways to lose brain cells. I'm sorry. These women, they're called Stump for Trump girls. And I mean, you see this kind of phenomenon every election season, so it's no big deal. But it's just, come on, sisters, please don't do us like that. It's just, you can vote for who you want to vote for. Obviously, I'm not talking about the fact that they want to vote for a populist billionaire. I'm not talking about that. I'm just saying, really, is this the way we're going to present it? Anyway, I don't have any intellectual commentary for that because, like I said, I lost 250,000 brain cells just watching that. This next one, I do have some commentary for. This is a patriot who is ready to take on terrorism by himself. Let's listen to his paradigm.
Hello, everybody. My name is Alan Lardieri, United States Army veteran and patriot. It is time for the citizen to pick up where the government has left off. I'm not advocating violence. This video is for yourselves to organize and prepare and just be all around ready. This is not me trying to be violent or go out in the streets,
really
smash windows
No.
and shoot innocent people. But if I know for absolute certainty that any terrorist cells exist within my unit's striking ability,
Unit of 1.
I'm coming for you, pure and simple. I'll even give a courtesy notice to local law enforcement, whatever. If you do not want to react, my reaction will be swift, will be silent, it will be deadly. Don't fear the night, just fear what hunts in the night. I'm not anything approaching near that conspiracy crazy type person at all. I'm just a product of the times.
I would agree. You are definitely, my friend, the product of the times. Only now in 2015 can you say the craziest, most conspiracy theory laden rhetoric, and then in the same breath say, I'm not a conspiracy theorist. It's just like those people who say, I'm not a racist, followed up by the most racist jargon you could possibly get. You are a product of the time, because that is exactly the mentality where you go on a diatribe for 5 minutes about conspiracies of people in your neighborhood being terrorists and terrorist cells. And you look at let me put that back on the screen. Look at his car. I know he staged it, right? I'm not silly. I know he staged it. He doesn't drive around like this, but he has staged his car to be this survivalist. I don't know what this guy is. I don't know, but I do know that he is he is the exact opposite of what he's saying he is not. He is a crazy conspiracy theorist patriot. This is the world we live in, folks. I think that's plenty reason for us to say, hey, we got to keep people who create people like this, people who feed rhetoric and propaganda and create the psychosis like this guy, the psychosis that this guy has. We have to keep them out of power because they are dangerous. All right, folks, we're getting down to the last few minutes. I have one last thing that I want to show you, and these are my new favorite YouTube subs of the week. Let me pull it up on screen B. Because I just want to share it with you because they showed me some love and I want to show them some love. I want to show some love out to CEH Beach, Jeff Killer Heisenberg, and Darren Brown from YouTube. You can go to the videos and see their names. That's the only reason I'm calling out their names. Otherwise, I would leave them private. But guys, I want to thank you for your comments. CH Beach said, "Why the hell are you not on broadcast radio or cable? It's a crime." Jeff said, "Indeed, he is concise, informed, and intelligent. I'm intelligent most of the time. Just catch me on those off days and we might can actually have fun instead of me being, so intelligent." And then Darren said, "Yeah, I know. He should be on 3 hours a week, 5 days a week." Right. This is the important part. Right in the middle of the day on the dial next to Mark Levin, Michael Savage, and Glenn Beck. Someone needs to stand up to those bigots. You're damn right. And you know what? I've got no problem being that someone. I'm not scared. I'm not scared of anything, ladies and gentlemen. The only thing I'm scared of is not raising my kids. And so, actually, let's see who this caller is. I have time for this call. Let's see if I can catch it in time. Caller, what is your comment? Name, comment, and/or question?
Is this Benjamin?
Yes, you're live on the air. I know you have a little feedback there, so if you don't mind cutting the station down and giving us your question, comment, or those two.
Yeah. About that, I think I turned you down right now. I may have missed this, and you may have already addressed this earlier. But I was just wondering what your thoughts were on the Black Lives Matter. I guess if you want to call it interruption during the Bernie Sanders event.
Okay.
I just started watching your show after listening to David Pakman.
Okay.
He recommended your channel, and I started subscribing just recently. So I just wanted to get your thoughts and your views on how you think they handled that, and just kind of your overall just view on that specific situation.
Absolutely. Amen. Thanks for the call. I will be glad to, but let me point you to anyone who wants any insight on that. I want you to go to YouTube and just look at my channel, and there's 3 full-length episodes on Black Lives Matter Seattle. There's 2 full-length episodes, and then there's a third video where it's the cliff notes. Go check out the cliff notes, and you can get all that information there. I agreed with the short version is this: I agreed with the interruption in Netroots Nation, and I absolutely disagree with what happened in Seattle, and there are the reasons why. You can also read my full-length article over at If You Only News and get more insight. Folks, I would do more, but I'm out of time. Let me go back to my last diatribe closing out. I'm not afraid of anything except for not being able to raise my kids, which is why when this is over, I'm going out and I'm going jogging and try to, live a little longer. But conservatism, there's not a conservative on the dial that I cannot handle. So if you want somebody to fight for you, I want you to subscribe to this channel. I want you to follow us on Twitter. And if you think, you can support us without spending a dime by watching our videos. You can support us without spending a dime by reading our articles, sharing our videos. But if you think that you want to be a supporter, you can go to patreon.com/the BPT show and join up with us as a Patreon. We got our first Patreon last week. I'm not going to front. When you go over there, it's going to show a really small amount. I know other people get $10,000 a month, but we're just getting started, and you can help us out. So go over there and become a Patreon. But most importantly, let me kick some conservative ass. Spread the word, and I'll do the work. You guys have a great weekend. I'm going jogging. I'm going to try to drive.
And until that moment comes, when we, the Americans, are able to accept the fact that on that continent we are trying to forge a new identity for which we need each other, that I am not a ward of America. I am one of the people who built the country. Until this moment.
And we are brothers. It's not a question of Jews or Christians or Muslims. We're all in the same boat.
We need each other.
Love is a condition so powerful. It may be that which holds the stars in the firmament.
Until this moment.
Love
Until this moment.
Love.
Until this moment.
I come to you today to say that we can build a newer and better nation. I say we can do so, that we must do so, and that we will do so.
You've tuned in to The Benjamin Dixon Show. Visit us online at www.thebenjamindixonshow.com.
Catch you later, Facebook. You guys have a great day. Where's my stop button? There it is.